Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone you loved the most turned out to be hiding a secret so big that it could change everything you thought you knew about them? Imagine discovering that your husband, the man you have trusted with your heart, and your life is not who he appears to be. What if he was pretending to be poor just to see who truly cares about him and who only loves him for his money? Would you be able to recognize the love that is real in the middle of deception? Would you be able to see the gestures that come from the heart and not from material wealth? This is exactly what happened in one unbelievable story that will touch your heart in ways you never expected. A billionaire, a man with more money than most people could ever dream of, decided to disguise himself as someone ordinary, someone struggling to get by. And he did it not for fun, not for adventure, but for a reason so personal, so emotional that it would reveal the true nature of the people he loved. The people he trusted, the ones he called family. Every day, he stepped into a world that was completely different from his own. He put on clothes that were simple, he ate meals that were modest, he lived in a place that was nothing like his luxurious home. And he did it all while watching and waiting to see who would treat him with kindness, who would care for him without knowing who he really was, who would show love not for what he had but for who he was. This is not just a story about money or wealth. It is a story about trust, loyalty, and the deepest forms of love. It is about how people behave when nothing is at stake except their heart and their intentions. It is about the moments that test our character, the moments that show who we really are. And it is about a woman, a wife, whose actions in the face of this deception would shock even the wisest of us and move even the coldest of hearts in ways that are unforgettable. In the next minutes, you're going to follow every step, every decision, every gesture, and every secret revealed. You are going to feel the tension, the surprise, the joy, and the heartbreak as this story unfolds. And you will see for yourself that sometimes the truest love is the one that comes when no one is watching and no one knows the truth about who we are. Now stay with me, because the story you are about to hear will challenge the way you think about love, about family, about loyalty, and about what really matters in life. It will make you wonder how you would act in the same situation, and it will make you appreciate the small acts of kindness and the quiet moments of genuine care that we often take for granted. Are you ready to see what happens when wealth is hidden, when appearances deceive, and when the heart is the only thing that can reveal the truth? This story begins now, and you will not want to look away. Hi, my name is Mary, and I have spent years sharing stories and lessons that help people understand the real meaning of love, loyalty, and character, especially for those of us who are in the later stages of life. I have seen how powerful stories can change the way we see the world and how they can inspire us to act with kindness, empathy, and courage in our everyday lives. On this channel, I bring you real stories that touch the heart and teach lessons that anyone can apply, no matter your age, no matter your background, and no matter where you are in life. Today, we're going to follow a story that shows exactly how far some people will go to discover the truth about those they love, and how love can appear in the most unexpected places. I have personally researched every detail of this story, spoken with people who understand human nature deeply, and I promise that by the time you finish watching this video, you will have a new perspective on love, on loyalty, and on the simple gestures that reveal the heart of a person. So stay close and listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is more than just a story. It is a lesson in understanding the people around you and in appreciating the real acts of love that often go unnoticed. And even if you have experienced betrayal or disappointment in your life, this story will remind you that true care and genuine love can still exist even when it seems impossible, and it will encourage you to recognize and treasure those moments today. As we begin to dive into the heart of this story, remember that it is never too late to learn to see the truth about people, to understand what really matters, and to act in ways that bring goodness, kindness, and loyalty into your life and the lives of those you love. So take a deep breath and get ready to meet a man whose wealth was beyond imagination, but whose greatest discovery would not be about money, but about the human heart, and the woman whose actions would forever change the way he understood love and family. Now, as we transition from this introduction to the unexpected twist in the story, prepare yourself for something that defies common belief and will keep you on the edge of your seat for the next moments. Most people believe that money guarantees happiness and loyalty, that wealth can protect relationships and ensure love, but the truth is far from that. What most do not understand is that the real test of character only appears when nothing material is at stake, when the person you are facing does not know who you are or what you have, and when the choices you make reveal your heart and not your wallet. This is exactly what our billionaire discovered when he decided to disguise himself as a poor man. It was not a game, it was not a challenge, it was a test of human nature, a test of love, a test of loyalty, and the results were shocking even to him. People often assume that those closest to us will always treat us with kindness and honesty, but when all appearances are stripped away, when the security and comfort of wealth disappear, the true colors of people emerge. In this story, the billionaire quickly realized that his family acted very differently than he expected. Some showed patience and care, while others revealed self-interest and indifference, but the most unexpected response came from his wife, the woman he trusted above all else, the one he thought would act predictably, and, with expected affection instead, she surprised him completely. She showed warmth, generosity, and understanding in a way that was not influenced by the money. She did not know she was dealing with a billionaire. She saw only a man who needed attention, care, and respect, and she gave it without hesitation, without judgment, and without seeking reward. This unexpected behavior challenged everything he believed about love. It made him question the assumptions he had held for years, and it opened his eyes to the fact that wealth does not buy loyalty, and status does not guarantee affection. And this revelation is especially important for those of us over 65 years old, because it reminds us that the people we love should be cherished for their actions, their kindness, their heart, not for what they own or the appearances they present. It also shows that true love is demonstrated through small, consistent gestures, through attention to the needs of others, and through selfless care that can be recognized only by those who are truly paying attention. As he watched his wife day after day, treating him with care, compassion, and respect without knowing his true identity, he realized that the lessons about human nature he had been seeking were being revealed in the most subtle yet powerful way possible, and this insight changed everything he thought he knew about his family and his own assumptions about human behavior. It prepared him for the discoveries that would follow in the story, and it sets the stage for the journey you are about to witness as we now move from this unexpected revelation into the heart of the story, where the billionaire lives day to day in disguise and experiences firsthand the reactions, the care, and the true love that surround him. Stay with me, because what happens next will keep you fully engaged and will show exactly why the actions of one woman can make all the difference in revealing the truth about those we hold dear. The billionaire woke up that morning knowing that today would be like every other day in his new life, a life stripped of luxury, a life where every action mattered because it revealed truth. He dressed simply in clothes that were worn and plain shoes that showed years of use, and he looked at himself in the mirror, trying to recognize the man he had become, not the billionaire, the powerful, the wealthy, the man everyone respected, but the man who would be judged only for his character and his actions. He walked through the streets unnoticed, blending with people who had no idea who he was, and he felt a strange freedom in that invisibility, yet a constant tension lingered in his chest because every interaction could reveal something he had never known about those he loved. The first person he visited that day was his wife. She greeted him with a warm smile that seemed ordinary yet comforting. She asked how he was, how his day had been, and he realized that her attention was genuine. She noticed when he seemed tired, when he looked a little sad, and she asked questions not out of obligation but out of concern. He told her small stories of his day in simple words, stories about ordinary struggles, minor inconveniences, the challenges of living without the privileges he once had, and she listened fully attentive, asking follow-up questions, offering solutions without judgment, and providing empathy without expectation. He began to notice that some of his children treated him differently. Some offered help expecting rewards, some ignored him completely, while others treated him with care and kindness without knowing the reason. Yet the most profound moments came from his wife. She would prepare meals, making sure he had enough, but never questioning anything. She would listen when he spoke about his day, even when it seemed mundane. She remembered details from previous conversations, showing that she valued him as a person and not for what he had. And one afternoon, as he sat quietly in the modest living room, he observed her, noticing a small tear in his worn coat. She immediately offered to mend it without being asked. She asked about his comfort, about his health, about his well-being, and he realized in that moment that the love she showed was constant and unwavering. It was not based on appearance or wealth. It was sincere and raw, and it struck him deeply that this was the same woman he had always loved, yet seeing her in this new light made him understand her in a way he never had before. He began to document these interactions mentally, noting every gesture, every smile, every word, every small act that revealed her character and the character of those around him. He walked through the neighborhood, visiting familiar places that once were part of his life as a billionaire, but now seemed completely different. The reactions of people were varied, some polite, some indifferent, some caring, but the consistency of his wife's kindness stood out like a beacon. Even when he faced challenges, minor misunderstandings, or moments of frustration, she maintained patience, she maintained empathy, she maintained love without conditions or expectations. Each day brought new observations. He noticed the way she would insist on sharing her food, the way she would remember small details, the way she would protect his dignity even when no one else was watching. He saw that her actions were never performative, they were genuine. She did not seek approval, she did not seek recognition. She simply acted with care and authenticity. This revelation challenged his assumptions. It forced him to understand that love is not about grand gestures. It is about consistent presence. It is about noticing needs and responding without hesitation or expectation. It is about putting the heart before material considerations. As weeks went by, he continued his disguise, experiencing moments of frustration, isolation, and doubt, yet he was continually reminded by her presence that true love is resilient and unaffected by superficial changes. The pivotal moment came one rainy afternoon when he returned home drenched and exhausted. She immediately took action, bringing him a warm drink, preparing a blanket, checking his temperature, and asking about his comfort. She did all this without knowing he was the billionaire. She did all this because her heart was naturally attuned to care and nurture. In that moment, he realized that all the money in the world could never have bought the actions she displayed voluntarily, consistently, and lovingly. He felt a mixture of relief, gratitude, and awe that the person he trusted most had a heart that was unshakable and pure. He began to reflect on his life and the choices he had made, his business decisions, his interactions with the world, and he understood that what he had valued most had been wealth and status, yet what truly mattered was right in front of him: love, loyalty, empathy, and genuine care. He observed his family more closely. He noticed subtle differences in behavior, some driven by self-interest, some by habit, but his wife remained the constant, a living example of integrity and unconditional affection. The days turned into weeks, and he documented every gesture, every act, every moment that revealed the truth about human nature. He saw kindness in small forms: a gentle smile, a helping hand, a listening ear. He saw self-interest in impatience, in indifference, in judgment. He saw love where no one else could have expected it, and it always came from the heart. He marveled at the contrast between appearances and reality, at how much can be hidden behind wealth, status, and privilege, and at how revealing simplicity can be when it exposes the true intentions of people around him. The final week of his experiment, he decided to test the ultimate truth. He revealed his identity to his children, explaining who he was and why he had disguised himself. To observe the reactions, the shock, the disbelief, the awe were immediate, yet nothing compared to his wife's response. She embraced him, she smiled, she cried. She did not judge or scold. She acknowledged the importance of the lesson and celebrated the revelation. She had proven her love, she had proven her loyalty, and in doing so, she had provided him with the greatest insight into human nature. He realized that the experiment was never about money, it was about heart. It was about seeing who loved sincerely and who acted from selfish motives. It was about understanding that love is shown through deeds, through attention, through care, and that this truth applies to everyone, especially those of us who have experienced decades of life and learned the value of genuine human connection. As he sat with his wife, reflecting on the weeks of discovery, he felt a profound sense of gratitude. He felt peace, he felt understanding, and he knew that the lessons learned would stay with him forever. He saw that even in the later stages of life, it is never too late to appreciate the real meaning of love, loyalty, and kindness. And as he looked at the woman who had shown him the truest form of affection, he realized that all the wealth in the world could not have taught him this lesson as deeply or as completely as her actions had. Now, having lived these experiences, having observed the nuances, the subtleties, and the depth of human behavior, he was ready to embrace his family, fully appreciating the true value of the people around him, and ready to carry these lessons into the rest of his life. And the story shows us all that the greatest wealth is not money, it is the understanding, the empathy, the loyalty, and the love that we give and receive each day. And it teaches us that even when life seems simple or ordinary, the moments that reveal character are extraordinary, and we must never take them for granted. Now, as we prepare to move into the next chapter, the teaching moment, we see that the story is not just emotional, it is instructional, and it provides lessons we can apply immediately in our lives. As we transition from the narrative of experiences to the lessons for us all, remember, the heart is the true measure of wealth, and the acts of love reveal more than money ever could. The story we just witnessed holds lessons that are more valuable than any amount of money, more powerful than any material possession. It teaches us that the true measure of a person is revealed not through wealth, status, or appearance, but through actions, kindness, empathy, and loyalty. Even after 65 years of life, we can still learn from these lessons. We can still apply them in our relationships with family, friends, and community. The first lesson is that love is demonstrated through small, consistent gestures. It is in remembering details, offering help without being asked, listening attentively, showing care, and responding to needs without expecting anything in return. These actions are not always visible to the world, yet they create bonds that are unbreakable and enduring. The second lesson is that appearances can be deceiving. Wealth and status can hide insecurities and self-interest, just as poverty or simplicity can reveal integrity and compassion. We should never judge the heart of a person by what they have or what they seem to be, because often the deepest truths are hidden beneath the surface and can only be seen through attentive observation. The third lesson is that loyalty and character are cultivated over time. They are demonstrated through patience, consistency, and genuine concern for others. They cannot be bought or demanded. They are given freely and recognized through careful attention and appreciation. The fourth lesson is that it is never too late to recognize and value these traits. Even in later life, we can reflect on our own behavior and the behavior of those around us. We can choose to nurture kindness, empathy, and love in our daily interactions, and we can appreciate the people who demonstrate these qualities in their actions. The fifth lesson is that wealth is not the ultimate goal. Happiness, fulfillment, and meaningful connections come from understanding human nature and appreciating the genuine gestures of care and attention we give and receive each day. Whether we are young or in the later stages of life, these lessons are universally applicable. They remind us that our focus should be on nurturing relationships, valuing integrity, and practicing compassion and empathy. The sixth lesson is that intentional observation can teach us much about character. By paying attention to how people act in ordinary situations, when no one is watching, when no reward is offered, we learn who truly cares, who acts from the heart, and who acts from self-interest. This understanding can guide us in strengthening relationships, making decisions, and building communities based on trust and genuine care. The seventh lesson is that simplicity often reveals truth. The billionaire disguised as a poor man saw reality more clearly. Because the distractions of wealth and status were removed, he could observe unfiltered interactions and recognize the actions that mattered the most in our lives. We can apply this by valuing genuine interactions and noticing the subtle gestures that reflect love, integrity, and concern for others. The eighth lesson is that teaching through experience can be powerful. The billionaire's experiment was a lesson not just for him, but for those around him. It demonstrated that empathy and attention can transform relationships, and that authenticity in behavior is more impactful than words or appearances. We can use similar approaches in our lives by being intentional in our actions and observing the effects we create in the lives of others. The ninth lesson is that gratitude enhances our perception of love and loyalty. Recognizing the acts of care and attention that others show us helps us appreciate and reinforce positive behavior in ourselves and in our relationships. The final lesson is that love and loyalty are timeless. They are relevant at every stage of life, and their value increases as we grow older and gain more experience. By focusing on these traits, we can live more meaningful lives, create deeper bonds, and understand that true wealth is measured not in possessions, but in the quality of our connections. The key takeaway from this story is simple yet profound. Notice the small gestures of care, value the authentic actions of those around you, cultivate love, empathy, and loyalty in your daily life, and remember that these qualities are more powerful than money, more enduring than status, and more important than any material achievement. Now, as we move to the final chapter, it is time to translate these lessons into action by engaging with the channel and applying what we have learned to strengthen our own relationships and cultivate meaningful connections in our lives. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the importance of love, loyalty, and genuine care, then I encourage you to take action. Right now, click the like button, share this video with someone you love, and subscribe to the channel to stay connected with stories and lessons that inspire and motivate people at every stage of life. And do not wait to show appreciation to those around you. Tell your family members, your friends, your neighbors how much you value their presence and the acts of kindness they show. Even small gestures can create lasting impact. And remember that the lessons from this story can be applied immediately. Observe the people in your life. Notice who acts from the heart, who shows genuine care, and who treats others with respect and empathy. By recognizing and valuing these actions, you strengthen bonds and create a more loving environment for yourself and for those you care about. And before you leave, there is another video appearing on the screen right now that will continue to inspire you with more emotional real-life stories that show the power of love, loyalty, and human kindness. So click and watch it, because every story you see here is designed to remind you that it is never too late to learn about love, to practice kindness, and to nurture meaningful relationships. And as you take these steps in your own life, remember that even simple acts of care can have a profound effect on the people around you. And by engaging with the channel, by sharing, liking, and subscribing, you become part of a community that values these lessons and applies them every day. Thank you for watching. Take these insights to heart, cherish the people who matter to you, and continue to observe the world with empathy, attention, and love, because it is these qualities that define true wealth and lasting happiness. And I look forward to seeing you in the next story, where together we will discover more about the power of genuine human connection and the extraordinary impact of love, loyalty, and compassion in everyday life.